Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Casey Bader. I'm a vice president here at Handel Information Technologies. And today, what we're going to be talking about is how our employment and training module can help you to inform better outcomes for your clients through daily case management activities, becoming statistical reports, and information that can inform you as to what changes you may need to make to your services to affect the most likely successful outcomes for your clients. So thanks again for joining me. I'm going to take a few minutes to introduce Handle Information Technologies and RiteTrack, and then we'll get right into a demonstration of the system and the most pertinent functionality for employment and training programs. So thank you again for joining me. RiteTrack is a software system that is designed for tribal, social, and judicial services. It's a customizable platform, and you'll hear me say that probably a few different times today. But along with it being a customizable platform, we have several standard modules that work out of the box and, of course, are generally customized to further unique specifications of every tribe we work with. But as far as those modules go, we have employment and training, which is going to be our focus today. That often works in concert with tribal TANF, perhaps enrollment, financial services, which is actually also a part of the employment and training module, but can be implemented separately just to track financial assistance to your members if those are programs you administer. We also have a module for Indian child welfare, and then on the judicial side, modules for tribal courts, treatment courts or healing to wellness courts, as well as a new module for tribal police. So just keep that in mind. You may be looking at RiteTrack just for your program, or perhaps you're an IT director and you're looking at it for multiple programs. When we implement RiteTrack for multiple departments, we enable a single centralized database with appropriate information sharing through our security model so that you can have all of your member and client information in one place, yet appropriately shared. A little bit about Handle Information Technologies. We've been around for 25 years and are currently serving 65 different tribes. Our modules, as well as the platform, were really developed side by side with tribes in that we take what we can find as far as federal reporting or state reporting requirements, and then also the best practices that we've recognized from implementing, in this case, employment and training modules for many different tribes, and then bringing those best practices to bear in the standard functionality that's offered out of the box with the module. In addition to the system, RiteTrack or Handle Information provides some first-class implementation services. That includes configuration of the standard functionality as well as customization for those unique requirements. Implementations can include data conversion, and we are very familiar with doing data conversions. And we have data conversion scripts for the usual suspects that we encounter and those systems that we may be upgrading. Of course, we provide training, and then after you go live, exceptional support and your data, as well as from the network and server level, as well as your access, as I talked about for an integrated system, is ensured through your being able to define what information people have access to in the system, and then behind the scenes with encryption and other things that are going on at a technical level, you can be sure your data is safe. A couple of things about the characteristics of RiteTrack, and I mentioned this, it is a customizable platform. It's also web-based. That doesn't mean it lives in the cloud, although it can. We do offer cloud hosting, or if your tribe does not permit that, then you can also do on-premises hosting as well. I mentioned the role-based security, and as far as, and that's per user, another thing that's per user is going to be their user-defined dashboard, which will present to them the information that's most important for them to see every day when they first log into the system. And then a really handy tool that allows us to create the documents that you need to generate for your clients directly out of the system through our form builder. And I'll show you some examples of some documents that we can generate as we get into the demonstration. Some of the major categories of functionality in the employment and training module include case plans, and that's where we're going to start. It's where we identify the goals and action steps that are going to be taken by the client in order to hopefully achieve a successful outcome. We're also going to be tracking activities that they're involved in to try to achieve those goals, supportive services to which you may make referrals so that they can get assistance from other programs as well. Once they've completed or perhaps are still in the program, the certifications and licenses that the clients may have received. And if you provide financial assistance to your clients, I'll show you how that can be tracked in RiteTrack. And then reporting, including the Public Law 102477 statistical report that is required if you're a 477 tribe. But even if you're not, there's still a battery of standard reports that will allow you to get statistics and information from your database. And the 477 report itself is very useful, even if you're not a 477 tribe and don't have to submit that to the federal government for your grant. So our goal to inform better outcomes with RiteTrack is through comprehensive client and case management, extensive reporting. You're going to be able to identify trends in your data, turn that into information, and again, hopefully achieve better outcomes for your clients. We'll come back to this slide and I'll ask if there are any questions once we get to the end of the presentation, and I'll put this slide up as we end that will have my contact information if you'd like to reach out to me directly. I noticed that the first part of my email is a little buried there in the other blue. It's just casey@handelit.com, but you can also reach out to info@handelit.com and you'll be followed up with by our staff here at Handel. You can also reach us on our toll-free line. Okay, let's go ahead and get logged into RiteTrack. And this is not going to be a training. I'm not going to go over all of the aspects of the system. I'm going to focus on what's important for employment and training specifically. And there's some standard things that I'm not going to touch on in the interest of time. If you're interested in further information, again, I'll put my contact information back up and we can explore the module in more depth and how it may work for you. So I've logged in now. The first thing I am presented with is my dashboard. That's configured by each user under their user profile and dashboard. And I just have a report as a dash tile that claims my current status. I can access that anytime by clicking on RiteTrack up here in the upper left corner. And what this is going to show me is all of, in this case, claims that have been approved and a breakdown of those. We only have one that's been approved, but I can change that and select all, deselect all, and rerun this report and get a breakdown then of all of those that have been submitted or approved or denied, as well as the breakout of which records these statistics are coming from. This is also available as a report, which we'll come back to as we get through our client and case management. You can see here that under my favorites view, I can have accounts, financial services, households, people, and case plans that I'm working with. But in order to most closely look at how a user would be using the system every day, we'll just go directly into a person record. And in our information, of course, we have various demographics, which you can report on to be able to identify the demographics and characteristics of the clients that you're seeing over time. Reports include information about claims they may have submitted. I'm not going to go over those now. Background information has several categories. The three I want to point out is prior or current military service. If that is something that you may be leveraging in order to achieve those better outcomes for your clients, is their experience in the military. Other demographics, and so think of these as temporary demographics. These may also be barriers to achieving success for their goals. And so an individual may be homeless, but they may not be homeless for all time. And so we have date ranges that they were homeless or had limited reading ability, and able to factor these things in when you're providing or referring for services to this individual. And then also tribal affiliations. It may be that your program only accepts members of your own tribe, but if you also accept members of other tribes or simply of the community and you serve those, you'll be able to document that here as well and report on the people that you're seeing in your program. The real case management, this is background information, comes under the employment and training node. And the first thing we start with is our 477 or case plan. And I'm going to go into the details of this plan. And I'll see summary information, which is actually quite extensive. Some of this required by the 477 report, but still useful, again, if you're not a 477 tribe, wherein for this plan, we're documenting starting wage, literacy and numeracy scores, and education level when they begin the program. And then when their program terminates, their ending wage, literacy and numeracy scores, and then outcomes, their overall employment outcome, training outcomes, if they achieve miscellaneous objectives, and then, of course, narrative about the plan. And while we have these categories ordered just alphabetically, the one I want to start on is goals, because this is where we identify what are the goals for this client in our program. And then I can click here to see the action items. So this is an employment-related goal to obtain a part-time job that's in the welding industry. And there are two different action steps identified so far. First, for the client, they'll create a resume. And then for the client's caseworker, they'll contact tribal maintenance services to see if they know of any companies that have job openings. Now, we also have goals of obtaining a 3.0 GPA for the fall 2023 semester and obtaining my associate's degree in welding that will have their own action steps. And each of these categories in the plan will have current statuses. So the obtaining a part-time job in the welding industry is in progress. The other two are shown as pending, but they're actually in progress, and I can change the status here to show that these are all in progress. And I can drill down into each of these goals as well as action steps and view those individually. So I can open up a goal and then the action items that are a part of that, or I can go into the details of an action item and the statuses that they have went through as well. So what do we do to try to, in addition to the action steps, affect these goals and successful outcomes? Well, we document activities that the client may be involved in, working towards those goals, like on-the-job training, GED preparation testing. These are just examples, of course, of services or other activities that your clients may be involved in, and your drop-down list would match per your specifications. Knowing that it's not always a direct route to say, okay, we've identified goals and here's the path we're going to take to get there. Oftentimes, there's also barriers to achieving those goals, and we document those. For instance, if this individual doesn't have transportation, if they have a disability, going back to the other demographics, temporary, whether or not they're homeless, or have some other kind of situation that is going to be a barrier to achieving those goals, we want to document that so that we're aware of it. And then we provide services, refer to activities as well as supportive services that may be able to help with these barriers. A common element in RiteTrack on a person, case, 477 plan, or other record is going to be documents. It gives you the ability to do things like import applications you may have received in hard copy or upload the driver's license, for instance, of the individual that you're working with into the system, and then have those available electronically. General notes as well as what type of contact was this. And so we have general notes and contact here in just the two categories to demonstrate how RiteTrack can pre-fill your narrative sections, prompting the user for the information that you want when it's a contact. Now, if I switch to a general note and change, insert, reset the default text, it'll replace the current note with that default text. There's none defined for a general note, but if I change that to the default text for a contact again, we'll see that we're going to be prompted for whom you met with, when, what type of contact, where, and the reason. Again, just examples of how you may configure your narrative notes sections automatically to prompt users for the required information. Referrals are for referrals that you've made to outside services and to what organization was this client referred to and when. Similarly, for supportive services, where we're documenting the service that we're referring for, the service provider, who's funding this service, and then the start and end date that they received this supportive service. These statuses that this plan has went through, it was pending or less than a day, and we showed that he was participating. We move fast here in our program. And then the user profiles is going to document the staff that have been assigned, are or have been assigned to this case to assist our client, in this case, Carter. Those are all the components of our case plan. We also have some forms, documents, reports available here. So if they were approved for the program, then we have a documented letter that can be generated and sent either electronically or via mail to your client, the new client. Or if they were denied, information about that. And here's one of the reasons that you would have been denied access to the program and services, or a disability certification letter. Well, part of the implementation of RiteTrack is working with your staff and identifying these documents that you want to generate out of the system, and then putting them through the process to have them automatically created and output by RiteTrack. There's also a goal and action items printout that we can do to send with our clients so they can hang this on their fridge and put it on their desk and remember what they're working towards as well. And then just ability to search for and print or generate all of the notes that were from this case plan. Now, if we go back to the person record, there's more under employment and training after the plan. I mentioned a few of these in the opening presentation. We document certifications or certificates that the individual may have received, when they obtain that, when it expires, and whom issued the certification. Similarly for licenses, if it's a license instead of a certification. And then also document current, past, or I'm saying future, but what we're looking towards is changes in education from going from obtained high school to diploma to perhaps, I don't think I have a college in here, but WyoTech is a trade school. And we can show they'd started and whatever their status in that current education program is. Similarly for employment, we're showing changes in employment over time since they've been with the program. And then documenting income, which may be earned income or income that comes from other sources like temporary assistance for needy families or child support, but then also their earned income. And that gives us the ability to track any raises or if they've moved down in their pay wage, depending on new jobs that they may have received that we've documented here under the employment node. If you provide financial assistance to your clients, that can be documented under financial services. First, we have financial services for which this client is eligible. Carter's eligible for transportation and assistance as well as the clothing allowance. And if I go under his financial assistance claims, I'll find any claims he's made for any of these services as well as their status. Now, RiteTrack forms and reports are interactive, and when I say interactive, what I mean is that anything I see in blue is a hyperlink. So if I wanted to go to this particular clothing allowance financial service, I can right click on it and open this in a new tab. So I can have multiple RiteTrack tabs open at one time and work with different records without having to constantly navigate back and forth. From this screen, I can also update the status of this claim if I have permissions to do so. So you can see here the closing allowance has been submitted. If I wanted to show that no, that has now been approved, I can do that here. And it will update it on the client's record as well as, and I'll show this under the financial service record itself, showing that this has been improved and deducting that from the funding that is in that budget. So to go up a level here, and then I'll come back to households. If we go, we can look at accounts. So this may be like our transfer system, 2024 transportation assistance budget. Have one for clothing. And what these allow you to do is document those budgets that you have for financial services and how those are being expended and then what financial services they're funding. We also have overall records for financial services, which if I go into transportation assistance, I'll see the account or accounts that are funding this service, individuals that are eligible to receive the service, the budget for a service, and this is where we document, is this a lifetime, monthly, yearly, or some other time frame budget? In this case, transportation assistance, there's one claim per year up to $750, and we show the starts and end dates for when this budget is active. And then any claims that are that have been made, as well as their current status and the ability to change the status directly from this list as well, and show that these have been submitted, approved, denied, pending, whatever different category of status that you would be tracking for your financial assistance claims. And then we also track households, a couple different reasons. We want to be able to group people into a household and have their communication, particularly mailing communications, just go to one address rather than 4 letters or 2 to the same address. So we group individuals into households and give the ability to batch update addresses. So I can change it just for individuals or the whole household and batch update that address. And we also document any household members who are in childcare per 477 reporting requirements. That's a quick overview of our persons, the pertinent background information, employment and training, case management, as well as their financial services that have been provided to them and the households in which this person has been entered and grouped. And then we take this data that's entered daily and create reports that summarize or make statistics out of all of that data. So we did see this previously, our claims by current status. And again, we can filter to, I just want to see those that are approved. Say, I want to just see those that have been submitted without further action taken on them. And I can see there's one, and it was for transportation assistance from Mr. Sullivan again. And as I mentioned with the form when we were on looking at claims, our reports are also interactive. So if I want to go to Carter's record and update this transportation assistance, then I can do that. Go to his record, his claims. I know that this is beyond what he's eligible for. The system can be configured to automatically flag that as well. But in this case, I'm going to go in and say, no, this claim has been denied. And I can say, and update that claim. We also have other information about our financial services over time. How have those been expended? Do we want approved or another status? And then I can even drill down into one or multiple different types of assistance to generate on this report, along with the breakout, and then breakout of claims by age, or these youth or adult clients. And there's more reports in development, but the most important, particularly for 477 grantees, is going to be this 102-477 statistical report. It's going to give information about the number of participants served, current participants, those that are adult, youth, if they're cash assistance recipients, outcomes, and whether or not, or how those outcomes are determined. Characteristics of that is gender, education level, and veteran status of your clients, activities that they've been involved in, and then information about child care and ages of those children in care. And then for each of these categories, we have a breakout of here are our participants, here are the goals that we're reporting on, the action items, supportive services, and of course, these are interactive. If I wanted to go say, I don't think this childcare record for Jacoby is right, then I can go and open his record here. You can see I now have 4 RiteTrack tabs or windows open, and go into his household and update that childcare record as needed. So perhaps he ended childcare. I don't want to change that now, but just an example of the information available on the statistical report beyond just the summarization, but actually breaking down all of these numbers and providing the breakouts and access to that data that is creating the information that is hopefully going to help you to identify what types of goals did we identify, what action steps did we take across multiple plans and clients that have been successful. How did our supportive services or referrals work into those? Did we see them achieving their education, employment, or other outcomes successfully? And did we see increases in education level, or income level, through both our reports as well as just information that is going to be readily available through the interface of RiteTrack to inform you on how your efforts are playing out with your clients. So that was everything that I wanted to go over today. I wanted to keep it brief and just focus on the parts of the system that are most important for employment and training. Let me put this slide back up. And if you are, oh, I forgot one of the keys. Interested in more information, feel free to reach out to me directly or info@handelit.com. Be happy to provide you with documentation, set up a personalized demonstration for you and your staff, or provide you information about other offerings from Handel IT as far as our RiteTrack product line. Thank you all again so much for joining me. Take care and have a wonderful rest of your week.